Alright guys, so welcome back to the channel. Today is a bit of a different type of vibe. I don't spend this much time on like digital work on the iPad, but I'm trying to do more of this kind of content. So well, today we're going to be practicing eyes, manga eyes to be specific, or anime eyes as the uncultured might call them, but they're manga eyes first before they become anime eyes, right? I did a little bit of a revision last night, a little practice session, but we're gonna try to do that again in a bit of a more smoother fashion, shall we say. The plan is we're gonna quickly revisit the real human eye and talk about the basic structure of it, and then we're gonna look at how you can simplify the eye and make it more of an icon as opposed to trying to draw a realistic eye all the time. But in order to do that, we're gonna probably look at a few of my favorite mangakars and see how they go about drawing the eyes on their characters. One of my favorites is most definitely Takehiko Inoue, and the way he draws pretty much everything on the face. And honestly, I should have used this as a reference for drawing maybe all of my characters, but in particular this one. This is one of my characters called Gray. He's a bloodsmith. All my characters are bloodsmiths for the most part, but he's got facial hair like the first 2 or 3 characters I came up with. So this is like great reference. So this is gonna be fun. I'm pretty much kind of doing some practice for myself as well as trying to teach some things alongside all of that. So I might be wrong here and there, but for the most part, I know what I'm doing, so you can learn from my mistakes, if anything. Alright, cool. So I got my page set up. I like to use a pencil for the sketching, and I got this layer here of this kind of stained paper for the texture because it's nice. I'll just draw some circles and squares to warm up because that's always good. Normally I draw like a few circles and just make faces out of them. Kind of looks like he's just got a nose ring. Alright, cool. That's enough for warm up. So when we talking about the eye, right? I don't know. People tend to like say they struggle with things like that, but really and truly, the eye is just a circle, right? It's a sphere, if anything. But in the 2D plane, it's a circle. When you add cross sections to it, you get a sphere, right? And the reason you get this shape over here, 1 second, it's because the eyelids essentially are pulled tight over that sphere, right? So if we go along the line at the top and the line at the bottom there, that's where our eyelids start and stop, right? And then they flap over here, over the front of it, and you have the iris being another circle in front of that, or on top of that. And the pupils, of course, or the pupil, rather, singular, in this case, being there. So if you saw the little illustration I had at the start from yesterday's practice, the way I tried to explain it was like having a scarf pulled over a ball, like a tennis ball or a golf ball. Like, just imagine a rectangular scarf like this. Once it falls over, let's say, a ball that's stationary here, we get something like this. I should probably draw the ball first because it makes it easier to visualize how the scarf will fall over it. I hope that's starting to make some kind of sense. And that's just essentially how you want to think about the eye, right? That's not necessarily how you're gonna go about drawing it every time, at least. If we study an actual eye, right? Let's just draw a square because I like working within rectangles and squares for some reason. it's easier to find landscapes within that. I think I want to place the eyebrows here first. They might come outside of it a little bit. Like, knowing how the eye works and like trying to draw the eye from reference are two different things. Knowing this kind of helps you draw it from construction when you're trying to come up with a character, which we are going to do in a second when I draw one of my characters. I'm going to try draw Gray again, see if I can do it a little bit better this time. But when you're drawing something from reference like this, you kind of don't want to think about what the feature is that you're drawing. You just want to think about things as shapes, right? Shapes and, you know, distances between the shapes, which are also just shapes in their own respect. So sometimes it's good to like just guess where something is starting for one thing. So I'm gonna start off with just the edge of the eye there, right? And then I'm looking at this shape in between over here, right? I mean, I know it's just the eyelid, so I can really just kind of make a curve and then refine that as I go along. Once I have one thing down and two things down, then, you know, those are landmarks now. I can use them to find where other shapes are, like this inner shape here. And you can really like approach it anyhow you want to go, but it's best to go from big to small. But I might sometimes just make a mark so I know where something should be later on, and like I'll go from big to small, and then hopefully I don't have to move that mark later on because I was right in the way I guessed where it would be, if that makes sense. I'll just draw the bottom eyelid next because that's the biggest other shape we have in terms of like this big oval we have going on there. And then from here I'm taking my time, but really I know that I can just go in and just pick the shape out, kind of following the contour of the top eyelid, because after all it's the same thing. It's the same, I don't know what to call it, it's the same object, same piece of piece of skin. That's crazy to say, but I guess what you get what I'm saying. And if I look at this, I'd say this line's a bit more horizontal, not too horizontal, but just a bit more. And yeah, I didn't have to move that mark too much. I can just kind of work it in. And then we see the sphere again, at least the borders of it. You don't really see the other side because the eyelid covers it up, and the lashes too, but mostly the eyelids. Draw the inner lip, and then you got your lashes here. And the eye isn't that difficult to draw once you just, you know, understand what you're looking at for one thing. But then when you're drawing it, you focus on the shapes you're looking at with that understanding in your head that this isn't anything, you know, magical or whatever. It's just a simple set of shapes. It's just a sphere covered by two flaps, essentially. I don't know how helpful that's gonna be, but I've never really struggled with any like any body part in particular, because I don't try to determine what I'm good at drawing. I just have to get everything I see down, and when you're looking close enough at a picture, eyes stop being eyes, it just become a bunch of lines. But that depends, I guess, on how much you wanna be faithful to your reference or to realism in general, because when it comes to character design, you can kind of be selective with how much detail and, well, how much you're obeying like the laws of physics and just anatomy in general. But yeah, that's not too bad of an eye. I don't like it right now because I'm not really adding too much detail to it. If you want to make this more realistic, you go ahead and like start adding values like the shadow under the eyelid there. But yeah, I can just make this real quick and just like kind of give an impression of the value I see in there, or the values I see in there rather. It's a bit dark in here too, and the eyes are never really white, but depending on what the medium you're using, it's probably normal to like leave it white because if you're not painting it, then it's still gonna be your lightest value on the page, or at least in the eyes. But yeah, shading makes everything look a lot better, honestly. Accurate shading. Sometimes I like to just do a general like shading for like the area. I don't really like focus on like the small like variation between like cast shadows and deeper values or whatever. I normally just like do like a something like this, as opposed to like adding a gradient to the values. That's if I'm trying to do a quick drawing or draw a manga character where it's like I want to limit the amount of detail I'm adding to the page. And it's important to remember too that the bottom eyelids also have lashes. You know, you need protection upstairs and downstairs sometimes. Well, all the times. And did you know, fun fact, camels have 3 eyelids. I still don't know what that looks like. Like, I've always wondered that. Like, how do you have 3? Like, what do you mean? 2 at the top, at the bottom? And honestly, it might make sense for me to look up. I don't know why I've never done that. Have I done that before? Did I just forget? I kind of want to do that right now. I wonder if Pinterest has any camel eyelids on there. It kind of sounds weird to say. I don't know why. And yeah, that's how you draw an eye basically, right? That's how the eye works, and that's how you draw one from reference. But that's not what we're trying to do today. We're trying to do some manga type drawings, you get me? I'm trying to study some of my favorite mangakas and how they stylize the eyes. So already I have my way of drawing eyes, although I feel like it's not really consistent, and like every time I draw a character, the eyes are slightly different. Not that that's a bad thing, but it's not the best thing when you're trying to get consistency with your characters. This is how I kind of like came up with my way of doing it initially. I would like draw a parallelogram and then a curve like this. There we go. And then another one at the bottom. Then I do the top eyelid over that. Then come in and do the iris there. Bottom eyelid will come beneath that. Pupil. Then a value, general value shading for the iris. I don't know why I like to draw a flat bottom for the iris, but I don't know, it looks good to me. I must have picked it up from a mangaka at some point. Well, let me get rid of some of these lines. That's how I'd like to think I draw my eyes. Essentially what I'm doing is taking that circle or that sphere, drawing that around it. Makes sense? And I can make the iris a bit more centered too, to like make it look like it's looking forward. And also when it comes to making expressions, you can like kind of do a lot with the iris to like, you know, and even just the pupils when it comes to like manga, to make things look dramatic or make someone look blind. But yeah, that's essentially what I'm doing here, but just skipping a few steps and just trying to find the best shape that immediately like speaks to me, and then trying to go from there to make it just work. So those are a few other ways I would go about it. I mean, if I was drawing a character, I would draw the head first, right? The eye sockets in here, we'll go around here. So I'll put the eye sockets there, and the eyebrows, you know, around here. Brow line is over there. Nose is here. I can start to draw my eyes. And like if it's at this scale, sometimes I might just, keep it simple and just do something like that. You know what I mean? Style is just about how much detail you choose to add, or at least my style. That's how I break it down for my characters. They all look different depending on facial detail, but also the level at which I'm rendering certain features. So let's see how Takehiko Inoue draws some of his. This is perfect. Okay, you see how he goes about his, like, you don't see an awful lot in terms of like lashes and stuff, but what he makes sure to draw is the inner lips of the eyes, or the eyelids, sorry. Which really you can just double up that line to like get, and then the eyelashes just come out here. They kind of blend into everything low-key from here onwards. And he also does the thing with the pupils where they just kind of mostly blacked out, along with the iris. Eyelids come up, they're a little bit smaller. See, that's pretty decent. And then his eyebrows just cut all the way across, like they touch the eyelids essentially. Great. Grazing? What's another manga we can reference? Gachiakuta, definitely, especially with the anime running right now on Crunchyroll and I think Netflix too. I read the manga before it came out, so I was excited for it to come out. But does he do the bottom eyelids like this? Yeah, he does. Just a little bit. Gachiakuta and Togenanki, I could like look at some of their eyes real quick. At least how they do them in the manga. Because I feel like with manga, like the pupils are sometimes they take liberties when it comes to like artistic license and just designing pupils. But I'm not necessarily going for all the way stylized manga. I'm going somewhere in between realism and stylization, which I feel like in a way bridges nicely. In a way, sorry, how rude of me. Gachiakuta manga. See what I'm saying in terms of the pupils, man? They go in. I wanna try to do some of that low key, but like I don't know if like I can come up with a consistent style or design I like that's not gonna feel like it's directly lifted up from another manga. I like Engine's eyes. You see, especially with like something like this, there's a lot more line work that you kind of have to do as opposed to like just doing a value or like a block line. And this is when they go red when he's using his ability. So to be fair, my characters also have eyes that change. They become bloodshot. And the way I decided to go about that is just making the sclera. I learned this word yesterday. That's the white part. Making that black instead. Sclera? Yeah, sclera. I think it's called. Alright, so Togenanki. Big eyebrows or wide eyebrows. If we do, should I do an eye socket first? Nah, I'll just go with the shape of the eyes. Almond. The top lashes do split off, or top eyelid. So I guess this is the inside lip. Then the bushy eyelashes at the top. It's a bit thicker on the bottom here, or the corner. I feel like there's a double line there too. Yeah, there is a little bit. pencil's too big. Yeah, that's also another lip for the eyelid in that style there. And I think simple eyes too, innit? Just a slightly bolder outer line for the iris and a pupil that blends into the eyelashes. I feel like it's the eyelids and the eyebrows that give it character. It's not that high up, it's around there. It's a bit more of a curve, I think. I can't really see it. Oh, maybe not. It would just follow the bottom, to be fair. Maybe not too much of a taper. I'm being a bit careful with these lines because I'm not too sure about them, I guess. But I can be a bit more confident with them. That's way too long. I feel like the eyelids a bit more like that. Yeah. Then the eyebrows like a tiny thing all the way at the top here. Stick at the tip, but then thin. In fact, just a line afterwards. Does it curve back down? A little bit, not too much. Something like that. Yeah. Not much to it, to be fair, actually. I thought it was a lot more complicated than that, but compared to the other ones, it's not that interesting, I'd say. Maybe a bit too much on the manga side for me. But like the simple manga, not the stylized pupil manga. Okay. So I think I want to try this eye for my character of Grey. In terms of like trying out this part of it. Hey guys, unfortunately that brings the video to an end today. We have to keep it short, but make sure to join me next time when I'll be showing you how to place the eyes on a full character head. Make sure to like the video and comment. More likes, faster the video is going to come out because motivation and all of that stuff. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If not, let me know down below in the comments. And for now, I've been your boy Shinobi, and yeah, peace out.